Good morning, everyone. I've been asked to share some Divrei Torah, and as you know, I usually give a shir Shabbos morning. Unfortunately, that shir won't be given this Shabbos. So instead of the shir and shul, we'll virtually learn some Torah together. Just a couple of ideas. Won't be for the 45 minutes. Just a couple of ideas from Parshas Vayakhel and an idea from Parshas Pekudei. If you look at the sheet that's on the screen, there's a section from the Beis Halevi, Rav Yosef Soloveitchik, the great grandfather of the Rav, who is also on the sheet in front of you, which we'll get to in a couple of minutes. So there's a very beautiful idea that the Beis Halevi suggests in the parsha, and his great-grandson, the Rav, takes that idea and embellishes it, and we'll get to that, Emir Tzashem, in a couple of minutes. Let's take a look at the Beis Halevi. Now, the Beis Halevi is pointing out that we have basically five parshios, the last five parshios of Sefer Shmos, which primarily talk about the Mishkan. So you have the Mishkan in Parshas Truma Tetzaveh, and a little bit in Kisisa. Then the rest of Kisisa is the story of the Egel we read last Shabbos, and then parshios Vayakhel Pekudei, which is basically a review of Truma and Tetzaveh that we read today. The striking difference between the parshios of Truma and Tetzaveh and then Kisisa and the parsha of Vayakhel Pekudei is Shabbos, because in Truma and Tetzaveh, after the Mishkan the mitzvah is given to build the Mishkan to Moshe Rabbeinu with all its details, then Moshe is given the mitzvah of Shabbos. HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells him that we have to keep Shabbos. However, when Moshe Rabbeinu repeats the mitzvah to Klal Yisrael, he first tells them about Shabbos, and then he tells them about the Mishkan. And all the Mefarshim discuss it, and let's look at the Beis Halevi, how he attacks this problem. So, starting from line 1 on the sheet, which is in front of you. Achesh Shabsosai Tishmoru, which, by the way, comes from last week's Parsha, Parshas Kisisa, but as I said, it's very relevant to Parshas Vayakhel. Hine kan achesh shaside beparsha Truma Tetzaveh kol malechas HaMishkan. After in Parshas Truma and Tetzaveh, all the mitzvahs of the building of the Mishkan is given over to Moshe. His here al Shabbos. He's then told about the mitzvah of Shabbos. Uba Parsha Vayakhel, and in today's Parsha, this week's Parsha, Kisha Amar Moshe Yisrael, when Moshe Rabbeinu is telling it over to the Jewish people, Hikdim Mitzvah Shabbos L'Melechas HaMishkan. First he talks about Shabbos, and then he talks about the Mishkan. So the Beis Halevi says, Ve'eftecha b'mashal fi, and I want to give you a mashal to explain it. We're in the middle of line 5. Gvir echad hayam masi beno. There was a very wealthy gentleman, a very wealthy man, who is making a wedding for his son. Ve'en tzarich lasos beno begadim l'chol v'Shabbos v'Yom Tov. So when he's getting ready to marry off his son, he has to give him all the necessities for him to begin his own life, his own ability to sustain himself. And what is the father's responsibility for the kid? He's going to buy him a wardrobe. So he has to buy him clothing for the weekdays, for Shabbos, for Yom Tov, and v'chein tachshitim asher him liyeser pe'er v'hidur. And then he's going to buy him things over and above the necessities, what we would call the luxuries. The luxuries are not that necessary. You can get along very well without a beautiful gold watch or diamond cufflinks. You don't need all that stuff, okay? But people in his social stature would have the golden cufflinks and the diamond cufflinks and the gold watch. And even if the father and son don't actually get along so well, since in the social status of where this father is, he still needs to provide for his son, because you have to keep up with the Joneses. Line 11. But now we have to check out. Now we have to look. Is he giving him the diamond cufflinks and the gold watch? Because he actually really loves his son. Because he's thrilled and ecstatic about the good wife and family that his son is about to marry and the life that he's about to embark on. Oh, Rak Mishum Kibino, who? Oh, no, he's his son. And since they have the same last name, he's basically stuck to provide for him whatever he has to give him. Umuchrach lasos lo kol zeh gam im ein hava bo gdola kolkach. Even though he doesn't love him so much, he's forced to provide for him even things that we would, in effect, call luxuries. And we can tell the difference. We can tell if he's just forced to give it to him or he really wants to give it to him. How do we tell the difference? This is line 14, middle of the line. And we can see how, in what order he gives it to his son. What does that mean? If he's doing it because he loves his son and he himself gets tremendous pleasure by giving his son these luxuries, so what is he going to give him first? He's going to give him things that he gets such pleasure. When he gives him the beautiful diamond cufflinks, when he gives him the gold watch, when he gives him the, again, luxuries, and he's so happy that he can provide his son with these things. Likna, and he says, the Beis Halevi says explicitly in the beginning of line 18, Liknas lo mora shol zoha v'kadomer, buying him a gold watch and something like that. The bazen nikar yoser hashuim shemishtashei betana gamagil of no. You'll see how happy, how thrilled he is that he's giving something that brings pleasure to his son. And the necessities, the clothing that he has to have in any event, whatever the financial status of the family is. You have to buy him a suit, you have to buy him shirts and a tie. That he has to get anyway. That's not the luxuries that bring pleasure. So that manichin lachrona be'esach hasuna. That you'll go a couple of weeks before. You'll say we have to go get the clothes. We have to get them fitted. We have to go to the tailor. So it's not so pressing to do it. And I don't get as much pleasure to buy my son a suit as I do to see the happiness on his face when I give him such beautiful luxuries that are really nice that he can enjoy. He says in line 22, but if the father is forced to give things to his child, not because he wants to, but he has to, Yan Shubano, because he's a son, so then he'll do that first. He'll give him what's necessary first, and only at the end, reluctantly, will he have to give him whatever luxuries he needs to give him, but he'll give him the necessities first. Hare, line 24. Hare haschala yeh b'dvarim hayoser hechreichim heim kodmin. The necessities come first. Hagam, even though kila b'sof yasa lo hakol, nevertheless, he's still going to get the gold watch, but he's not going to get it first. He's going to get it at the end, right before the wedding. Al kolzeh sidron shel dvarim heim b'chilav zemizeh. But the difference is, does he want to give him the gold watch, or he's forced to give him the gold watch? He's still going to get the gold watch, but why is he giving it to him? Says the Beis Halevi, now we understand the difference between Parshas Truman Tetzaveh and the beginning of Kisisa with Shabbos and the Parsha of Vayakhel, where Shabbos comes first. Look what the Beis Halevi writes, end of line 25. V'hinei, b'mitzvos yesh mehem muchrachim le'ish ha'Yisraeli u'kmo Shabbos. There are things that are necessities for the Jewish person, for the Jewish family, for the Jewish people. And what's the perfect example of the mitzvah that's necessary, that's required? That's Shabbos. Dehu hechrich gamor. It is 100% necessary. Without Shabbos, there's no Jewish people. What's the litmus test we say about being a Jew? Is he a Shomer Shabbos? Shabbos defines us. When there's no Shabbos, Rachmana litzlan, unfortunately, Judaism will ultimately slide by. Shabbos is what keeps us going. The Yesh Mitzvos, says the Beis Halevi in the bottom line in the first column, line 28. The Yesh Mitzvos Shehein Latosefes Kedusha. And then there are mitzvos which add Kedusha, which we will call luxury mitzvos. Mitzvos that are not necessary for the continuity of the Jewish people. Ukamo, he says, Binyan, top of the next column, Binyan Beis HaMikdash v'hakorbanos. Dahareza Kama Yisrael B'Golus v'ein lahem kol zeh. We've been in Golus, unfortunately, for 2,000 years. Haven't had a Beis HaMikdash, haven't had any korbanos. The Jewish people still survive, Baruch Hashem. Kidei sheyihiyu Yisrael b'ma'alosam ha'kedusha u'b'kedusha tzrichim lazeh. On a much higher level, we're still sinners. We're out of our land. We're out of our country. We're in Galus. So the Beis HaMikdash, the Karbanos, we can unfortunately survive without them. Can't survive without Shabbos. Says the Beis Halevi beautifully, line 31. V'zehu kodem Maseh Egel ksiv tchila Maseh Mishkan. Before the Maseh Egel, before Klal Yisrael sinned with the Egel, ksiv tchila Maseh HaMishkan. What happened? Look back in Parshas Truma and Tetzaveh. First, the Torah describes the Mishkan. The Achar Kach, and only afterwards, Lebesof Amar Lahem Shabbos, but Parshas Kisisa. Because Shabbos is a necessity. Shabbos is a necessity, but the luxuries come first. The luxuries are what he is given first. The Mishkan, the mitzvah of building the Beis HaMikdash, that's a luxury. That's what I want to give you because how much I love you. I know I have to give you Shabbos. That I'm forced to give you. But it's the luxury that I want to give first. However, says the Beis Halevi in line 34, V'yachar Maseh Egel, Hischil Vayakhel. He says, but the Egel was last week. It's over. And now I have to give you the necessity first. That I'm required to give you. So I give you Shabbos. V'yachar kach amar lahem Maseh HaMikdash. And after that, I'll give you the luxury. You can live without the luxury. But I'm going to give it to you anyway. And that comes second in the parshiot of Vayakhel and Pekudei. Beautiful, beautiful thought. Now the Rav picks up on that in a different context. I hope you can read it on the screen. It says, Vayavo ha'anashim al hanashim. The Torah says, this is from Rav Soloveitchik in the Chumash Mesoras Harav. That came out a couple of years ago. And he takes the same idea and extends it a little bit. So let's look at this together. The men came with the women. It is interesting to note the enthusiasm with which the people built the Mishkan. At no time during the 40 years in the desert did any of the children of Israel violate the sanctity of the Mishkan. Interesting point. Yet, after only 1 week in the desert, the Sabbath was violated by a wood chopper, Sefer Dvarim, the Makoshesh Eitzim, and the Sabbath has not been observed perfectly by the entire nation since, Rachmana litzlan. As noted in the beginning of this parasha, at the very conclusion of his command to Moshe regarding the Mishkan, Hashem appends a warning regarding keeping Shabbos. Beis Halevi explains that there are basic necessities to maintain physical life, and there are luxuries which are greatly enjoyed but do not constitute necessities. In our spiritual lives too, there are mitzvahs which are basic to our existence as Jews, and there are other mitzvahs which, although beautiful, we can survive without a people if necessary. Knesset Yisrael has survived for 1900 years without a temple, sometimes very well. Without the Beis HaMikdash, we produced Tanoim. The Mishnah was written. The Gemara followed. Without the Beis HaMikdash, we had the Gaonic period, Rishonim, Mekubalim, Hasidic leaders. Of course, Jews pined for the rebuilding of the temple. Obviously, the presence of prophets and a Beis HaMikdash widens one's religious horizons. Yet, we can survive without these. On the other hand, A Klal Yisrael without Shabbos cannot exist. Shabbos to the soul is like water and bread to the body. If a person becomes mentally deranged, he no longer differentiates between necessities and luxury. He will neglect his body and will not eat and will not protect himself from the cold. In the same way, when the nation was of sound spiritual foundation, it was unnecessary to include a warning about Shabbos, and therefore the command to build a Mishkan in Parshas Truma did not include this warning. However, after the Jews worshipped the golden calf, as the Beis Halevi explained to us, they experienced a spiritual mental deterioration. No longer could they differentiate absolute necessity from luxury. It therefore became necessary for God to warn them about mitzvah priorities. God must now emphasize that Shabbos supersedes the Mishkan. And then the Rav adds this very, very powerful statement, and something that we could think about, especially in the circumstances that we find ourselves in this week. If one reads the Shabbos Shuva drushes that were delivered to the Jews in Europe over the last few centuries, they never contained warnings to keep Shabbos, kashrus, to wear tefillin, or to give children a Jewish education. Such exhortations were unnecessary, as the people recognized that their very existence depended upon these fundamentals. Instead, these drushes contained warnings, for example, about how one should not spend excessive time in front of mirrors, being overly concerned about one's appearance, or how one should not dress too luxuriously. Only in this generation, with our skewed priorities, are exhortations regarding basic spiritual necessities necessary. Reciting Kaddish over a deceased parent, which I know is bothersome to many people today because of our circumstances, is a relatively minor custom. People consider it more important than Shabbos and Jewish education. How many people, unfortunately, drove to shul because they had to say Kaddish on Shabbos? What's the luxury? What's the necessity? Today, Jews will keep their businesses open on Shabbos for an extra few dollars of income, yet at the same time give tens of thousands of dollars to build lavish Jewish temples. The Rav speaking in 1958 about what are the priorities and what are the luxuries of Jewish life. And again, in our circumstances, what do we think? What are we thinking today? One more piece to share with you this morning from the Ksav Sofer. Ksav Sofer says at the end of Parshas Pekudei, let's take a look at this, line 1. Vayara Moshe es kol hamalacha v'hinei asru oso kasher tziva Hashem kein asu. The Torah says Moshe saw all the malacha that was done to construct the Mishkan, v'hinei asru oso kasher tziva Hashem, and everything was done as Hashem commanded, kein asu. That's what they did. Vayivarech osam Moshe, and Moshe blessed them. Moshe gave them a bracha. Of a medrash, the medrash tells us, and Rashi quotes this medrash, Eza bracha bircham. What bracha did he give them? So he gave them the bracha of Yehi Ratzon Shetishra Shechina b'Maaseh Yedeichem. May it be your will, Yehi Ratzon, may it be your will, Shetishra Shechina, that the Shechina should dwell b'Maaseh Yedeichem, in your handiwork. Says the Ksav Sofer, Tzarich lomar bracha zu lama. He says, what's the necessity for this bracha? Halo Hashem tziva, Hashem commanded, back in Parshas Truma, at the beginning of the discussion of the Mishkan, V'asu li mikdash, v'shachanti b'socham. You make for me a mikdash, and I will dwell amongst you. That was the deal. That was the goal. The Gila Hashem revealed, Ritzono. What was Hashem's desire? Lahashro shchinaso beinenu. He wants to bring his shchina amongst us. So, what do you need the bracha for? Hashem said, build me the mikdash, I'm coming. So why did Moshe have to say, Hashem, it should be his will that he'll be mashra his shchina? The Gam Tzarech Lomar, and then says the Ksav Sofer, very interestingly, he says, if you look at the text of the bracha, it's a little strange, a little funny. The Havalela Meimar, it should say, we would think it should say, Yehi Ratzon, may it be the will, Hashem, Avinu Shabashamayim, Hashem, our Father in heaven, Shetishra Shechina b'maaseh yadehem, that Hashem would bring His Shechina in their handiwork. V'lama sasam v'amar Yehi Ratzon, may it be the will. It doesn't say Yehi Ratzon Hashem Avinu Shabashmai. May it be your will, Hashem. It just says Yehi Ratzon. May it be the will. You'll see what he means in a minute. Ulahavin kolzeh, and to understand all this, Akdim. I'm going to make a preface, says the Ksav Sofer. Ksiv b'divrei hayamim. There's a pasuk in divrei hayamim where David HaMelech is talking about the fact that Shlomo will build the first Beis HaMikdash, and the pasuk says, quote, and this is the end of line 5, B'chol kochi hachinosi, with all my might have I prepared, hazahav l'zahav, hakesef l'kesef, I prepared the gold for all the golden utensils in the Beis HaMikdash, v'hakesef l'kesef, and the silver for silver, and then the pasuk goes on, and the copper for copper, etc., etc. So the Ksav Sofer says it's pshita. I'm going to use the gold for the silver things, and I'm going to use the silver for the gold things. Heichen hazav l'zahav, svas yesu. That's extra. Of course, if I'm preparing gold, it's for golden utensils. If I'm preparing silver, it's for silver utensils. What's going on here? Venerally, ki Hashem tziva. He says, I want to tell you the pshat. Hashem commanded, v'yitnu li truma, you should give li truma, give me a truma. What does that mean? Li l'shmi. You have to give the truma. You have to give the gifts for me. Ki yesh misnadvim v'nostim kedei laharbos kvodam. There are some people who give money, not l'shmi, for the sake of the mitzvah, but to be marber the kavod, that they should get more honor. Sheyishubcho ki, that they should be praised. Ki hema tovei leiv, they're good people. Oh, because look at me, look how much money I gave. Look at the plaque that's put on the wall. Look at the cover because I donated this room, this amount of money, etc. Oh, laharbos kavod, for them, they want more kavod. Ukadomen, similar. V'lo chafetz Hashem be'ela. Hashem doesn't want that. The end of line 8. Ela sheyitnu l'tachlis hamachuvein. You have to give it for the proper goal. Sheyizku lahashra shchina b'socham. The purpose is not for the plaques on the wall. The purpose is not to give me kavod because I'm giving the money. It's that only for one purpose, is that the shchina should dwell amongst us. V'lo chafetz, end of line 8. V'lo chafetz Hashem be'ela, ela sheyitnu l'tachlis ha'mechoven sheyizku l'ashra shchina b'socha. V'chein kasav achar kach, and that's what the next pasuk literally says after. V'yitnu li trima, v'asu li mikdash, make for me a mikdash, lishmi, v'yia kavanasam, and what is the point here? V'shachanti b'socham, if you give it for me, li v'shachanti b'socham, I will dwell amongst you. It's not for you to have any type of kavod and any type of glory for yourselves. And when Hashem showed the tavnis hamishkan, He showed what the mishkan looks like, etc. Because I'm showing what the proper thing that I want built. V'chein tasu, do the way I'm telling you, not for your own kavod, not for your own ideas. Here gives Rashi. Rashi understood when it says v'chein tasu, the havalei kain tasu. What's v'chein tasu? You should say kain tasu. That's what you should do. No, my v'chein. T'nai hisna kadosh baruch hu. Hashem made a t'nai. He made a condition. V'shachanti b'socham. I'm going to dwell amongst you. Emasai. When will my shechina dwell amongst you? Only if you do it the way I show you to do it. You want the shechina? You got to play by my rules. You got to do it my way. V'ritzoni, and my desire is she'eshkon b'soch b'ni. I want to dwell amongst you. K'de'isa b'medrash, as the medrash says. Atem banai v'ani avichem. You are my children, and I am your father. Ru'uya shador ha'av bein banav. It's proper that the father will live amongst his children. Ula'avasi eschem, and because I love you so much, heresi v'tzivi lasos hamishkan v'kelev b'tavniso, Cain. And because of that, I showed you and I command you to do the mishkan and the utensils in its proper form, and that's how you should do it. La'oso kavana ta'asuatem. That's what you should do it with, that kavana. Kedei shetisku, that you should merit, sheyishra of beinechem, that the Father will dwell amongst you. Va'az ritzuya v'shachanti b'socham. And that's the condition that I'll dwell amongst you, if you do it lishma, for that purpose. Only if you do it the way I showed you to do it. V'chein tasu. Gamatem kamoni koso kavana azruya atem she'eshresh chinasi b'sochem v'asi shaper. Now it makes sense. Okay, then he goes on to say that there's some people who want to give gold in order to get covered la'atzmo, can't go. And the Ksav Sofer goes on, and we're going to go down to the bottom, and just you're more than welcome to read this on your own. He says, V'zesha, at the end of line 23, V'zesha amar David HaMelech alav hashalom b'kol chochi achinosi, with all my power, with all my might, I have prepared. He had to convince himself, strengthen himself, David HaMelech himself. It had to be given, the gold for the gold. What's the purpose of giving gold? What's the purpose of giving the silver? David HaMelech. Rak Sheyia, line 25. Sheyia Zov de Tzorcho. That there's gold for the purpose, enough, and the purpose of what it's there for. V'cheina kesef l'kesef, the silver for the silver. V'lo lahanas atzmo, and not for his own hana, his own benefit at all. Unbelievable. David HaMelech. Okay? Then he gives in the Ksav Sofer gives another medrash about the Melechas HaMishkan, but that he says, everything was done. If you look at line 28, V'hinei asu osa kasher tziva Hashem kein asu. Everything was done exactly like Hashem said. If you look at end of Parshas Pekudei, that's what it says over and over again. Hainu shahaya kavanasam rak l'shem shamayim. All the kavana of giving the donations to the Mishkan was l'shem shamayim. Below his nadvu hispar. They didn't do it for glory. Not only the nadava, not only the donations of the materials, but also the actual construction of the Mishkan was not done for anybody's glory. Look at what a great tailor I am. Look what a great artisan I am. Rak l'shem shamayim. Ki lulei zeh, were it not for that, lo haya matzlichem b'malachta, they wouldn't have been successful. Because they weren't really trained in that. Everything was done lachshov machshavos, with the proper thought. Hashem helped them. Ki asu hakol al nachon. Okay, they did it properly. Mizera ki kasher tziva Hashem kein asu. As Hashem commanded, that's how they did it. V'yalzeh amar hamedrash. That's the pshat in the medrash. V'heichan siva alezet tzivu kivein Moshe b'kan al tzivu dechsiv asu li mikdash li lishmi. What does it mean about kasher tziva Hashem? That pasuk back at the beginning of Parshas Truma, v'asu li mikdash li lishmi v'chein ta'asu. That's how they did it. Vasi Shapir. Now we understand. Let's go back to the beginning of our discussion. Okay, line 32. That's the bracha that Moshe gave them. Listen to this. That's the bracha. Vayavarach osam Moshe. What was the bracha that Moshe gave? Shetihya machshavtam rak l'shem shamayim. When they do things, they should do it l'shem shamayim. Kadesha tishra shchina b'neihem. The bracha is that when you have constructed and you have done certain things, it should be done l'shem shamayim, and that's the condition that the Shechina will dwell amongst you. Kadesha tishra shchina b'neihem below lala b'shum paba machshava lifneihem ki chavod v'tiferesi. You shouldn't think I'm doing it for glory and for honor. V'hainu habracha shebirchem. That's the bracha. Yehi ratzon. Shetishra shchina b'masa yedechem. May it be your will, not HaKadosh Baruch Hu's will, your will that you're doing this mitzvah l'shem shamayim. Shetishra shchina b'masa yedechem. That the shchina should dwell in your handiwork. Shalo yeritzonam v'cheptzam rak shetishra shchina b'masa yedechem. That the Shekhinah will dwell, that should only be what the goal is, nothing else. And then we're confident that Hashem will fulfill the promise that He made to us. Kasher amar asuli mikdash lishmi mikdash. You're making it for me. Again, not for the plaques, not for the accolades, not for all the glory, but you're doing it lishmi. Now it all makes sense. And that bracha, I think the Ksav Sofer is saying that anything we do when it comes to mitzvos, we should do for one purpose. We should do for the sake of Shem Shemayim and for the glory of Hashem, not for our own glory. I wish everyone a good Shabbos, and everyone should have this chizuk and strength in these trying times. Good Shabbos.